Awesome. Good morning. Hello, everybody. I am Kristine Dunn, and I'm part of the FYR Partners. I'm so excited to be here with all of you today on this Monday. This month is flying by. We're already like a month into summer, all pretty much. Summer solstice, where I think we're on like day two of the summer solstice. So I don't know if anybody knows about that, but on Friday, that was our longest day of the year. So I don't know if anybody did anything fun or exciting or had any big breakthroughs or anything, but it's a really kind of a cool time to be going into. Here in Florida, the market is kind of slowing down, actually. It's slowed down quite a bit here in Naples, and I've got a few listings that aren't moving. The sellers are starting to get antsy. The market has really shifted quite a bit. And then it's just getting really hot, so everybody's left. Everyone's gone up to Michigan and back to St. Louis, Missouri, and all these places that's a little bit cooler, and they really enjoy their summers. So this is a really great opportunity for those of us who have a slower time in our business to kind of regroup and figure out where are we having success in our business and where could we maybe make some changes to make our lives better too, right? I don't know if you guys know, but as part of the FYR Partners, we just, it's all about funding your reason. We're working so that we can have the lives and afford the lives that we have chosen to live, right? And I say chosen because we choose everything. You choose your hard, right? Marriage is hard, divorce is hard. Choose your hard, right? Being financially wealthy or financially fit and being, the opposite of that and not having everything you need or want, that's also hard, right? There's so many different hards and we get to choose those. So today, I wanted to share with you guys, right now, technology is sometimes great for me and sometimes not. So give me just a second so I can share this screen with you. I've been doing this at least a few times a month, every month, and I still struggle to share a screen. Go figure. Okay, here we go. This one here. All right, let's see if we can move this. Can you guys see this screen? Just give me a thumbs up there, and let me go to presenter mode so you're not seeing all this other stuff. Are we in? Can we see it? I'm assuming so. Says got it. All right, okay. Um, I don't know what this. Can you guys see the screen? It says
We can see the screen, but it says audience window. It says drag
okay,
it to
this is so weird.
yeah.
Okay.
I think if you clicked on the full screen, it would make our screen entirely your presentation.
Click on full screen. Present. I just clicked present. Okay, present full screen. Let's try this. Like that?
Yes, perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you, Kat. Awesome. Kat is in Ohio, and I actually know her from the Girls with Grit. So thank you for joining us this morning, Kat, and everyone else. Okay, so I really want to just talk about boundaries, routines, and habits, which is like kind of not always the fun stuff, right? But it's really the secret weapon for sanity and success in this market, in this world, and everything that we're doing. And I kind of want to, say it's not about the hustle anymore. Is anybody else feeling that in their life, in like everything in the world, and the vibe of everything is just kind of like shifting a little bit? And it's kind of giving us that feeling of, maybe I should have a little bit more boundaries. I really don't want to be burnout, right? So it's kind of exciting to be able to start reclaiming your time and energy and like giving yourself that peace of mind back, right? So, um, it's really that you don't need more hustle, you just need more structure. Now, granted, as I say this, there's lots of people that don't really necessarily do well with structure. I know personally for myself, I do really good with routines. I love habits. I like to do the same things all the time. I like to eat the same things quite often, except mixing things up a little bit, right? And for me, that makes me feel more grounded. But then there's other people where they know they need to do X, Y, and Z, but they're not going to be waking up at the same time every day doing the same thing. But I want to encourage you, for whichever one of those people that you are, that you can still give yourself structure to your day and find more space for yourself, right? And give yourself that peace of mind to really not be so scattered or overwhelmed, right? Our personal lives often take a hit for the businesses. At least mine has for years, right? And over the last couple of years, I'm like, wait a minute, why are we living to work? We're supposed to work to live. So how can I go backwards and see where am I losing space? Where am I losing energy that I can gain that time and that energy and space back? So the cost of always being on, this is really interesting. I did for those of you who don't know, I'm in the Southwest Florida market. I've been selling real estate since 2011, and I've had lots of different coaches for anything from the bodybuilding world, health and wellness, all the way to my real estate business, right? And what's interesting is that they almost all say the same thing, right? I mean, we just need to hear it in different ways sometimes. And what I realize is burnout is not a badge of honor. It doesn't mean that I'm like so awesome because I'm burnt out because I worked so hard, right? But what I was struggling with was saying no, with picking up my phone all the time at all hours, right? Responding to people. Now, granted, we are in an industry where things are timely, right? We have to respond in a timely manner. We need to be on the majority of the time. But this is really more about building a life that you can actually feel comfortable and confident in yourself, the authority in your industry, in your market, right? And being able to tell your client, you know what, the next availability is. You don't ever have to tell anyone no. Nobody wants to hear the word no. I mean, I'm a grown adult and I still don't like it when people tell me no, right? Let's be honest. Like, we don't want to be told no. Nobody likes that. But we can offer different ways of saying no in a way that is more easily received, right? So being able to have those boundaries. But if you're not having some sort of a conversation up front with your buyers or your sellers saying, hey, listen, I'm really excited to work with you. I'm going to give you all I've got. But my hours of operation are between 8 and 8 or whatever your hours are, right? If you need me and it's an emergency after that, or we're on a tight deadline or something like that, of course I'm going to be available for you. But I also have a family. And if it's on Saturday mornings, I may not be available before noon or whatever the case is for your life, you get to choose, right? Like you get to say, hey, listen, this is what's going on. And as long as you're telling people up front what it's like to work with you because you are the professional, you are the authority, you are the author of your life, as long as you're sharing that with them and you're setting the precedence of what it's going to be like to work with you, a lot of people are okay with that. But it's when we don't say anything that, and then we don't respond in a timely manner, or we are not like picking up everything right away. That's when people start to get upset. And then that's where, the communication drops. And I feel like that's kind of one of those scenarios where, again, people don't like to say no, but you don't have to say no. And we're going to talk about some different ways that you can say yes without saying yes or no without saying no, right? And then just remembering like how, your energy affects your conversion rate, right? So if you're making calls and you're showing up with the attitude that I don't feel like doing this, I don't want to do this, that's going to come through on the other end of the phone. And every single person that picks up, they're either going to hang up or they're going to say, no, thanks, I'm not interested. And they're going to shut you down because that's the energy that you're putting out there, right? And also, if you're super burnt out, that's going to come across to your clients too, your buyers and your sellers, because you're going to be short with them in conversations. You're going to get a little snippy. You're not going to want to answer, and you're going to be reactive versus responsive, right? And there's a big difference between reaction versus responding, right? If somebody comes at you with something, I know for myself personally, if I have not given myself enough space in the morning and someone comes at me first thing in the morning with something, I will probably bite back. But if I have my few minutes of silence and my quiet coffee and my morning is unfolded the way that I set up my routines and my habits, then I will be able to respond in a more business-like professional manner that always gets me the response that I want versus starting a fire first thing in the morning or any time throughout the day. Does this make sense? Yeah, cool. So you don't want to always be on, and having some boundaries will definitely make a big difference with that. So here's some realtor specific boundaries that work, right? Ways to say yes to clients without saying yes to everything, but also no. So you've already set your boundaries. They know when you're going to be available, when you're not going to be available. And now they want to see a property on at 8 o'clock in the morning on Friday. Well, I am a time blocker. Does anybody else time block? Yeah, time blocking is huge, right? So if I know that my energy is the highest in the morning and that's when I feel the best, that's when I time block the things that I may not really want to do. And I'm going to go back to prospecting or making calls because sometimes that seems to be the thing that's the hardest for people to do because the phone gets really heavy, right? So in the morning, I like to just do it then because control the controllables, right? So if I pick up my phone and I know I'm going to be making calls from 8:30 to 9:30 or 8:15 to about 9:30, anybody that calls and tries to schedule an appointment between that time, I'm going to say, "Hey, you know what? I am really looking forward to showing you that property, but my next availability is." Or the next availability. You don't have to say my next availability. You can even just say the next availability is. They don't know if that's your next availability, if it's the sellers, if it's, that there's other showings going on. And honestly, it doesn't really matter. You don't have to tell them every single thing about your life, right? It's good to be honest and upfront, but you don't have to say, oh, I'm doing prospecting during that time, so that doesn't work for me. How about this time? Right? It's just the next availability is. And that's a great way to say either yes or no without using the yes or no verbiage. And it's much better received, right? Because again, they feel like, oh, okay, yeah, I can make that work. Now, in 2020, when if you didn't get to that house like right as soon as it came on the market and you had to drop everything, like that's different, right? But now we're in 2025 and that's not the market that we're in. And it's really important, no matter the market, to always have your time blocked schedule set up to keep you on what I like to call the real estate gain train and off of the real estate roller coaster. You end up on that roller coaster because you don't have any routines or habits in place. There's no structure, right? So then it's like, oh man, I'm working with all these buyers. This is great. I don't have time to do my prospecting from 8:15 to 9:30 every day because I'm out showing properties. But then all of a sudden, all those are under contract and you're back at square one, started with no more buyers. Now you've got to start prospecting again, and it takes months sometimes, especially if you're working with internet leads, right? Lars taught a really great class last week about, how he uses open houses and his listings to really gain a lot of more clients, actually, right? By doing very specific things with those listings and with those sellers and inside those communities. If you haven't seen that, go back and watch it. It was really powerful, right? But he didn't do that and he wasn't able to create that by just flying by the seat of his pants. Ooh, let me just see if this works. It's very detailed. It's very specific, right? And he has a system and a process in place. It's the same thing for your business. We have to be running our businesses like CEOs. It doesn't take a lot of money to get started as a realtor, right? You pay a couple $100 to get your class, you sign up with a company, maybe a couple hundred, maybe it's $1,000 in. So most of us don't even think of ourselves as CEOs. So if you're not thinking of yourself that way, I would encourage you to do that, right? And by being a CEO, you need to be able to be in control and figure out how do you say yes and no without saying yes and no to people. And one of them is just saying, hey, you know what? The next availability is. And that works for almost anything. Okay. So again, email and text boundaries, those are going to protect you. Like they're really going to protect you so much because I know for me, especially even when I give my people these boundaries, I actually need them for me sometimes more than them, right? Because they know it, but they might still send a message. And I'm the type of person that my phone's probably on me, so I'm going to respond even if it's 9 o'clock at night. But it's also training me to listen to what I said. And if it's not an emergency, I make myself wait until the next day because you train your people, right? And if you answer at 6:30 in the morning because you're awake and you answer at 9:30 at night because you're awake, they're always going to expect that from you. And that's how you get burnout, right? So even though we live in this crazy like 24/7 world and everything is just at our fingertips and we want instant responses, if we are giving and setting good boundaries, we can actually live like a really great life and still do the thing that we love, still helping everyone at a really high level and enjoying it along the way, right? I think something that was really important that Lars shared last week too is when you have these systems and things in place, people know what to expect. It's the same thing with the boundaries, right? And so, he might have had to sell really hard or go into like a really great listing presentation for the very first person in that community. But now the community knows what it's like to work with Lars because he's been involved, right? He went in, he introduced himself, he had little different parties to get different people involved. And people know what it's like to work with him and throughout that process. So then it starts to spread like wildfire. It's the same for us in our businesses. When we set the precedence of what it's like to work with us and learn how to say yes and no without always saying yes and no, it's the same thing. It's like, man, I worked with this with Kristine and it went really great. She took care of everything. I always knew what was going on. Don't wait for your clients to ask you questions. Do your best to be prepared to answer the questions ahead of time. You guys have been doing this for long enough at this point, and if you're new, get with one of us that has been doing this for years and let us help you through this, right? Setting these boundaries and really connecting with these buyers and sellers, that you thinking of hopefully you're not thinking of it as a one track, like, oh, this is one person. Because what you don't realize is that one person could be a waterfall into 15 other people, whether it's family, friends, it's their entire network, right? It is the ripple effect. So if you do really great with one internet lead that you finally got a hold of after 150 calls, right? Then once you have set that relationship with them, now you have their entire network too. But also being, you know, understanding that there's like three different types of people, right? The people that absolutely love you and will shout your name from the rooftops of any place that they ever are. Then you have the people who love you, but they just are never going to say your name ever because that's just not who they are, right? And then you're going to have the people who you had a good experience with and will drop your name if someone specifically asks, right? And so just being aware of that too is how are you setting yourself apart by really creating a relationship with your buyers and sellers? Because at the end of the day, they're people just like you. You can't be thinking of these people as transactions, or it will be just that, a transaction, and you won't get the referrals, the business won't grow. But as realtors, like that's why we're in the business. We love people. We want to help people. We want to do all the things that we can to have success for ourselves, but also for success for other people. And offering them our best foot forward is by having boundaries set is a really great way to do it. So here are some like simple routines and kind of more because you want more referrals and less resentment, right? So you have to have non-negotiables that keep you grounded. And I mentioned this morning. Morning and evening examples are something that I'm going to give you because those are things that I have in place that really make a difference in my life. So for me, my non-negotiables are my mornings. I mentioned that my day kind of starts at about 8 o'clock for work. I start making my calls at 8:15 till about 9:30 usually. Sometimes 10 o'clock if I'm on a roll and people are still answering. But you have to figure out the time from your market. But before I even get on the phone, what does that look like, right? Before you start thinking, oh, I follow her, she's crazy, I know what time she gets up. I have calmed down a little bit. It's not a 4 a.m. rise anymore. It's about a 5:30 rise. But in the real estate world, that's still pretty early, right? I don't have any reason to get up at 5:30 in the morning except for the fact that I need it for my mind to be able to prepare myself, my heart, for the day, right? And so I wake up, I have the first 15 minutes of quiet time. I don't talk to anyone. My husband is still asleep specifically on purpose so that I can have this time for myself. If you guys are married and you have kids, you might have to get up before them to have this time. And I say you might have to, but it's not that you have to, it's that you get to, right? I don't have to get up at 5:30. I get to get up at 5:30. And what I get to do is a gift versus the things that I have to do as a chore. So I would encourage you to start thinking about that for yourself too. What things in my day am I saying I have to do? And can you shift it to I get to do that? Because at the end of the day, you chose to be in real estate over some of the other things, right? And if you're going to be here, then you get to do the things that are going to create a successful business for you and a really happy, beautiful life. So again, back to my morning routine. So 5 o'clock or 5:30, my alarm goes off. I don't hit snooze. I get right up. That's my first win of the day. That is the first win of the day. right? And it's the little things that we do every day that bring big changes over time, right? So if I'm getting up at 5:30, as soon as my alarm goes up, Mel Robbins says in her book, actually, I can't remember the name of it right now, but if anyone else knows it, she says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you get up, right? You count backwards and you get up. And I've been doing that for years, and it makes such a difference. When you hit snooze, it's like your first, I don't care, I'm not important to yourself. You're not thinking that maybe in your head, but that's what's actually happening subconsciously. Okay. So that's why a morning routine of some kind, it doesn't have to be what mine looks like, but I get up 5:30 as soon as the alarm goes off, I scrape my tongue. Silly thing, right? Who cares about scraping your tongue? But that's another win. I said I was going to do it. It's super easy. Scrape my tongue and then I drink a glass of water. Three things that take very little effort, but they're three promises that I've already kept to myself before 6 o'clock in the morning, right? Now I'm taking 10 minutes to sit quiet. I'm giving you my morning routine, but you choose what works for you. Like, what can you be consistent with on a regular basis? Because it's, again, the little things that we're doing every day that are bringing big change over time. And it's these little wins. That's what creates the confidence. For those of you who don't know, I'm a professional bodybuilder in the bikini division. And the one thing I can say about bodybuilding is you can't cheat, right? You literally cannot cheat your way to the stage because if I don't follow everything exactly how I'm supposed to, then I won't look the way that I'm supposed to on stage. Now, what most people don't realize is that while I'm doing it for the physical look to compete, the reason I continue to do it is because of what it does inside of me, in my heart, in my spirit, right? Because I've learned to keep promises to myself, and it's that that gives me the confidence to do other things and to try other things and fail at something and then try again, right? It took me almost 7 years to get my pro card, is what they call it in bodybuilding, to be a professional bodybuilder. 7 years. Some people do that in like a couple of years, but your mind and your heart have to all be in the same place. It's the same for your business. You can bring your mind and your heart in all in one and have success in real estate by having these important morning routines that don't seem like much, but they do a lot for you internally. So I get up when the alarm goes off, I scrape my tongue, I drink a glass of water, and I sit for 10 minutes. A lot of times I sit a lot longer than that, if I'm being honest. But start with 5 minutes, start with 2 minutes, start with whatever works for you. But choose a time, get up, and then do a couple of things after that that are easy for you to win. If you find yourself making a promise to yourself that you're not keeping, regroup, go back, and change the promise. Change the routine into something that's more realistic for you that you will be able to win at. Right? Does this sound like, is this hitting? Are you guys getting this? Cool. Because it is really important, even though it doesn't feel like that. So the first 10 minutes and the last 10 minutes of your day are like the most important time of your day. So in the evening, I have an evening routine that's really simple. Again, I'm going to share with you mine, but do what works for you, right? And by doing these things in the morning and the evening, they remove a lot of resentment that can come up throughout the day because I've given myself time, right? To kind of connect with myself and like regroup for the day. So in the evening, I stop with my phone by 8 p.m. Doesn't mean I might not still pick it up and scroll here or there. I'm working on that. I'm not perfect either. But in reality, my phone goes on do not disturb. And then if it doesn't ring, then I don't pick it up, right? I don't look at it then. And again, I'll usually check it right before I go to bed just to make sure I didn't miss anything super pressing. And then again, I'll put it down. But I don't use that time to scroll. And then I choose to read before bed and do like a gratitude thing. And it sounds a little cheesy, but what are three things that went great today? And you can even ask yourself, what are three things that I could have done better today? Right? And then go to sleep, read, journal, whatever, but don't watch TV like right up into the minute you close your eyes. That just kind of like it takes away some of the beauty and the juice of just being present. It sounds a little cheesy even to say it sometimes, but at the end of the day, we are human beings, not human doings. So where can you find places to just be throughout your day? Because our worth doesn't come from what we do. It comes from who we are. And I needed a good reminder of that because I got a lot of my worth and still do, if I'm being honest, from the things that I do. But that's not who we are, right? So just having some sort of a morning and an evening routine will really kind of ground you back into your body and bring you back into alignment with, okay, what am I doing in my business? Okay, this is going for me, this isn't. And I think that by doing some of these smaller things, when you do them for long enough, like more than a couple of days, you'll realize how big of an impact they have on you. For instance, if you're picking up the phone and you're calling internet leads, it's how I built my business was using internet leads. And in the beginning, picking up the phone was really hard. It was heavy. I hated it. I didn't know what to say. When people said I'm just looking, I would say, "Oh, okay, great. Is there anything I can do to change your online search so that you're getting the properties that you want to see and blah blah blah." It was totally not working. They would give me the information, I would change it, and then I couldn't get them on the phone again, right? But by being consistent and using the time block and doing my morning routine, not only was I getting leaner for my bodybuilding shows because I was following all the things, now I'm getting really good and building my pipeline in real estate because I'm actually picking up the phone every day, right? And I went to classes and I figured out what am I supposed to say, right? What is the scripting? But I also had to reprogram my brain because I thought scripting was crap and that didn't work. But the reality is, scripting does work, but you have to practice it so it doesn't sound like a script, right? So, there's lots of different things that we do to talk ourselves out of our highest and best functioning selves. But if it's any thought that you're having all the time, that's when it becomes a belief. So you've got to be able to spend that few minutes in the morning resetting for the day and setting the tone for what the day is going to be again so that you can be responsive versus reactive and then kind of doing the same thing at the end of the night, scanning through the day, what was great, what was not great, and are you keeping track of some of these things somewhere, because what's measured can be managed, right? If you haven't fired a client yet, you're not doing something right. At some point you're going to get to a point in your business where you're like, this person is not worth the headache. I'm gonna send them off to someone else, right? But if you are confident enough in your ability and you're strong enough in your professionalism and your authority, at some point you're probably gonna have to let somebody go. I had to let one of my biggest listings of all time go a couple of years ago because this woman literally sucked all the life out of my soul, and I was spending more time trying to calm myself down after the conversation than it was worth. I mean, she would take me out of it for a whole day almost because of how horrible she was. And it's embarrassing to share that that was a position I was in at one point. But I think it's important for all of us to know that we've all been there, no matter where we are now. And just to be aware that if you do have somebody, when you're confident in who you are and what you're bringing to the table, you'll be able to say, thank you, but no thank you. This chaos is not worth, giving up my peace for. And then having some sort of a weekly reset ritual, right? For your business and your personal life. I like to do yoga. It's something that I found, even though I'm moving my body, it's the only thing that stills my mind. And that has also allowed me to be more still and quiet in that 10 minutes or a half an hour in the mornings, right? So have something that you like to do, and it's just maybe once a week, and you're just kind of resetting your business and your personal. Maybe you're looking back at last week and reflecting, okay, these things went well. I really want to work up to 5 days, but I only did 3 days of calls last week. And I hit snooze twice, right? Okay, we're not judging ourselves for the thing that we didn't do, but we're just taking a mental note, right? And then restarting for the next week and again, readjusting those things if needed. And then habits that build your business and they don't burn you out, right? So, how can you habit stack tasks that you already do, like prospecting and self-care? So, in the morning, I mentioned that I get up right away and I scrape my tongue and then I drink my water and then I set the coffee going and then I sit down for my 10 minutes. That's technically a habit stack because there's two things happening at once, right? And so that's also a great time if the sitting still and quiet for you isn't really your thing yet. Maybe that's a time where you do 10 air squats, right? Or when you're brushing your teeth at night, you're doing 10 air squats or you're lunging, right? And I'm using those examples because I'm obsessed with movement and body functioning and those types of things, but it could be anything, right? And so habit stacking can really bring in things. Actually, here's one that I really like, and I've started doing this. I got this from a podcast that I was listening to, and I guess you could say it's a habit stack of sorts, but whenever I go to the gym, right after the gym is when my mind is like the best. It's like the strongest, it's the most creative, right? After some type of movement, for me personally, that's when I'm usually the brightest. And so a lot of times I then will go out to my car and if I'll either bring my computer with me because I know that this is a thing, or I'll do it from my phone. And before I go to my next appointment or head home, I will open up my phone and start responding to emails or create something or do something in that energy that I've just created, right? Because sometimes it can be really challenging to work from home or from your office or whatever because there's so many distractions. But for whatever reason, when I'm in my car, that seems to be the time where I can get so much done. And sometimes I look up and it's been 45 minutes and I've been sitting there. But when you are doing it when it's on your mind, like that's when you're going to have the most success with those types of things, right? And I'm kind of really tying in my self-care to my creativity and my business, whatever that looks like for you, right? And maybe that's the time when you want to start doing your prospecting calls because that's when you feel the best and you don't have the distractions. And for whatever reason, it seems like when I'm in the car, it's easy to have a conversation with someone because I'm not overthinking it, right? So especially when it comes to prospecting, how can you create a conversation? Because if you can't have conversations with people, then there is no conversion, right? So keep that in mind. And then tools to track habits without pressure. Something really simple that I started doing just recently was hitting 10,000 steps a day. So I have an app on my phone that tracks my steps, right? But the key is you have to have your phone on you all the time or a watch or something that's connected to it. At the end of the day, that's an idea of a tool to track habits without pressure. I'm not thinking about it that much, but it is tracking every step that I take. And then when I check it throughout the day, I can see where I am, right? There's also different apps, and sometimes they're already part of your database if you're using Follow Up Boss or Commissions Inc. or different YLOPOs or all these different ones. Some of them have call trackers, right? And so it'll actually track. There's a little plugin that you can put on your browser that has a little like a ticker where you can tick it and like just touch it every time you make a call. There's lots of different tools out there because what's really important is that what's tracked can be measured and what's measured can be managed, right? And so if you're tracking some of the things that are working for you or not working for you, perfect example, again, back to the prospecting is if you know that you're making calls and everybody's hanging up on you, then you know you need to work on your opening line, right? If you are making calls and you're having great conversations, but you're not setting appointments, then you need to know how to close, right? You know, you need to go back and focus on what do I need to say? How do I close these people and really get them to confirm that they're going to show up? Or if you're getting the appointment set, but they're not showing up, now we know that we're doing something. There's still a mishap. They're just appeasing me to get off the phone, but they have no intention of showing up, right? So when you track things like this, um, it really can help you succeed in the long run. And then again, I've been talking about this quite a bit this entire thing. Small, consistent actions compounded over time, that's what creates momentum, right? That's what creates the real estate gain train. Like a train needs momentum, right? It doesn't just start off and it's going super fast. It starts off really slow, right? You start making calls a couple days a week, then you start making more calls and more calls and more calls, and then the train picks up speed, and then it just goes, right? Now it's like a super fast train. But that roller coaster is the same way. You still need the same amount of momentum to get up that hill. But then if you stop making the calls, then you just go right back down and you have to start over with the momentum, right? So that's why it's so important to have these strong morning routines and these strong habits because that's what's going to give you that momentum to keep moving forward every day. right? Because it's the little things that we do every single day that bring big change over time. If I just try to drop all my body fat in a week, my body's going to shut down. I'm probably not going to eat because I don't know how else you do that, right? And then I'm not going to look my best. It's the same thing in real estate. You have to be able to do the little things for long enough for them to become fruitful. Think of these leads and these people that you're creating relationships with. They're just seeds, right? They're seeds that you're watering, that you're nurturing, that you're planting, and you're checking on every day. Think of yourself as a plant too. I mean, we kind of are plants, guys. Like we need water, we need food, we need sunlight, we need somebody to talk nice to us, tell us we love that they love us, right? Plants are the same way. So I really think that a lot of these things that are really easy to do are also really easy not to do. And that's why I feel like it's really important every once in a while to just bring them back up, remind us that, we can have these little wins every morning and every evening, and that they will make a big difference in our lives. Because if you feel like a winner, then you're going to come across as a winner, right? And it might be because you won in your personal life in the morning with your habit stacking and all the other things. But it doesn't really matter what gives you that winning feeling as long as that's the way you're coming across to all the people in your life that are looking to you to show up and support them and be responsive versus reactive in your business and in your personal life, right? So, if you have any questions, I would love to open this up. It's really fun when it is not me just talking at a screen. So, if you want to share any wins that you have, or if you had any challenges or things that you could use a little advice on tweaking, I'd like to open this time up for that. And if not, happy Monday. We can make it a great week. Thank you so much. You can find this recording on YouTube under the FYR Partners. It will also be posted, I'm sure, on social media. And we're just so grateful for all of you that are here taking part in some of these trainings that we're offering. All of us FYR Partner University facilitators, I guess you'll say, we're doing this not because we have to, because we get to. And we're just so excited to share this information with you guys so that we can make your lives as amazing as you want them to be.
Thank you so much, Kristine.
My pleasure. Thank you guys.
Great
Have a
job,
great
Kristine.
one. Thanks, Lars.